Hey everybody, I just want to record this quick video. Um, Hopefully it'll be about 10 minutes long and just kind of get into what I was talking about, and I can zoom in and I can show you stuff. And how is everybody? So now that I got that out of the way, because it's very late and I really want to go to bed, but not that sleepy that I would miss my time with you. Okay, well, what you're looking at right now is something I did in 1992. I was trying to do hieroglyphics and lava, and the lava is not too great, but it was a good, first attempt and everything. I liked it and thought it worth showing. Okay, so what I wanted to get into is this wall here. Okay, this one was done years ago, and this is me spending a lot of time doing something. So I'm going to zoom in a lot and show you stuff. And so I have it to, it's not as extreme as what we did where we had just a little bit of light in one area, but it kind of fades over. And I'll zoom in. So one of the things I didn't talk about was that you can have these white highlights, right? And then you kind of tone this stuff with a very light wash of transparent color. This right here, that was easy. You just drip some paint at the top of the board and you tilt it and it drips down the whole thing and it stains it. It's really cool. Okay, so we're going to zoom in. And as you can see here, I like doing this kind of stuff. We have these broken pieces. And also, if you notice that there are kind of big chunky marks, let me go back out again and find a better one. Oh, by the way, before I get into that, I wanted to show you what this would look like. You are expected to create a word carved in the wall. So you find a spot and you just put it, if you put it too far away towards a darker part of it, part of the wall, it's not going to read as well. So you want to put it towards a lighter part. I did it right in the middle, and you can see it right here. So as you can see, I was in a mood. And I actually did this in Photoshop, the word. So the original painting looks like that. That's traditionally, and then I went in Photoshop, and I kind of stained it up here so it would look like a murder scene where the murderer had a lot of time to carve dye into a rock wall. Anyway, so this is kind of cool. We look up here. This is what I was telling you about. This is me taking my time, and you can see here it's not black. It's actually tan, but it functions as a hole that's been, just punched in there. Oh, that's music. Sorry. I put music on because, well, who wants to listen to me talk and talk and talk? So it's actually called Groove Salad, and it's on Soma FM. If you ever want to like tune in, it's really cool. They've got lots of stations. I don't think there's really any commercials either. Anyway, so let's move down the page here, and there you can see my die. Okay, and again, whoops, we'll zoom in. When we go here, you can see that I've added a lot of stuff. But anyway, the thing I want you to notice how I have thin lines, and I have usually towards the corners of something, I do a bigger chunk out of it. You can see it here. You can see it here. It chips away unevenly. So you have bigger pieces and skinnier pieces. So think about this kind of stuff when you're working, because you don't want to have every line super even or super thin. Some get real thick and some stay thin. So as I get further over here, you're going to notice that the detail in my lines and my cracks and stuff is going down, because I actually prefer to do that. I don't want to like have the same quality all the way across, because then your mind will dwell over here and you really look here. That's the meat of it right in here. So, okay. Some of the things I want you to notice. Whoa. Don't hit your head on the wall. You want to zoom in here, and you can see that I've made these marks right here. And I've also added these highlights. And look at that one. That one's not as bright as that one, but it's still there. Now I could go in and do every single one of these if I wanted to. If I was really crazy, you don't have to do that. But if you're crazy, go ahead. So I'm really zoomed in. I'm going to pull back a bit. And show you a couple things right here. Okay, this is an interesting thing. You see how this is darker right here by the highlight. What that does is it creates a very subtle kind of upturned stone. Remember we talked about the sidewalks and how a tree root will pull up the sidewalk and it's uneven? Well, if this part right here were to be pushed up, it would get a little darker. And again, it's the same thing that I did here. All this was just glazes of light tones. And let's go up here. Let's see if there's anything in here that I can show you more that's interesting. So some things don't have highlights. Some of the cracks have very thin, almost non-existent highlights, like here. And some are just a white line. So you kind of mix it up a bit. And you just kind of, there's little pieces missing. Sometimes you have it like this, the piece of rock fell away. So it's not all just, you know. Okay, let me go to a different piece. So this is what we did the other night. Okay, it looks really cool seeing it like this because now I can see it from a distance. And you really can see the upturned kind of uneven rock that this has been like, almost like somebody punched it right here. And it cracked and it pushed in. And so the light kind of comes up and then there's a shadow on this because it's tilted. And then over here, it picks up the highlight again. Same thing with over here. Maybe the stone is uneven. You know, whenever you put, this is what I want to show you. Whenever you put it a little darker right by this thingy, the highlight, and this is extreme. I actually don't like the way how dark that is, but whatever, who cares? And if you compare this, right, to this, where am I? Let's go here. So if you compare that to this, what a difference. This is what time gives you. You can kind of do subtle painting here to make it a little bit less extreme. And here I'm just kind of blasting stuff in. You can see how extremely, you know, guttural that is, as opposed to this one, where it's a little softer, you know. Anyway, so we're getting pretty much everything I told you, but this up here is interesting. Okay, so notice that a lot of these kind of half marks, this is me, like, I guess with the paper towels, making all these little marks here. I could simply go in and, let me get some white paint here, and I could, no, it's on multiply, hold on. Go to normal, 100%, and where was I? It was right here, I think. And you can add a highlight pretty much to any little mark you have, even if the mark is like a light gray. Okay, so you can go in and pick up texture that is not black, not dark, and, you know, add, you know, your highlights. And sometimes there is no, and you can kind of break things up. Now, this is not the best tool to do this, but I don't like that. Okay, but you can see now when you look at it, there's now a highlight. Wait for it right here. I'll zoom in a little bit. It looks kind of nice, even though that I didn't like how far it went. So don't just, you know, look for like things like this over here. Like you see this little like patch of, you know, a little darker paint right in here. You can, let me see if I can work this. Hold on, because there's a better way of doing this. And I'm going to do it. Okay. And I'll take that and make that screen. Okay. So I can start by, oh, it's on 19%. Let me go push it up here. So now I can start to, this is much better than the, than what we had before, because I'm actually using the cloning tool. And so I go around that shape there, and you can bring out, and once you do something, I usually go to a few dots around it, close to it, so I can, you know, echo what I just did, especially if it's a dark one like that. And as you pull back, See. Nope, that's not it. I gotta change here. This is fun, isn't it? Hearing me talk to myself. Okay, so yeah, I don't like that. So I'm gonna smudge this out a little bit. This is just me being a bitch. Okay. If you go back here, you can see, let me just go back to dye. Okay. So in some instances, I have it darker and some lighter. So that was me just trying to vary things. This is what it actually looks like, my highlights. And then I did that. I drew this, with Photoshop, but you would use a colored pencil. I would always draw it in colored pencil and then maybe go over it in paint. And you can lighten the line with the paint or darken it, whatever you want to do, and then you start adding your highlights. But whenever you have a highlight, you got to pick up some of these little dots. You got to because if it's hitting that, then it would probably be hitting that, hitting the little dots. Sometimes also with the letters, this is another good thing. You have cracks that feed almost like tributaries and rivers going into a larger river. It works really well. Like here, I added this. So I think I did this here, and I did this one here, and I made these go up to here. So also, like as a line hits another line, instead of it just hitting it like a T, you can widen it like I did here, like into a V shape. It just adds little interesting elements to things. And the last thing I'm going to show you is this one, Hulk Sucks. Okay, here's another one I did, and I had to be a lot lighter down here because I needed this cast shadow. This was done with an airbrush. So are these things right here, because I wanted to make them look like they're floating, and I really wanted them to be soft. So I liked airbrushes for that kind of stuff. And here's another example right here where, as I was dry brushing, right, and that's how I did Hulk Sucks with an airbrush. Like the paint kind of was lighter here and darker here, and because it was dry brush, it left uneven marks. Well, then afterwards, I went in and I just painted with like a. It's like you got to mix it with, like, this is straight paint. This was like a tan. That's straight like white paint, and this was more of a tan mixed with white. And you start kind of watery, and then maybe I added a little more. You just kind of keep building it up till it becomes less transparent and more opaque in places. And so even like here, I'm lightening the edges, and what that does is it makes some nice, like slight indentations in the wall. So you can't like ignore these weird little marks. Like right here, it's so bright. I could highlight that, but I'm not gonna. And the other thing is, this was kind of cool. I went in and I made a real dark. You can see my paint. And this over here, okay, was like medium, got a little bit more tan. And then I highlighted some areas, made some cracks. But the thing about these cracks, right, is that they're not all the way around. So again, you want variety in your picture. You don't want to like your eye goes here and then it travels around and comes back to it. And it's like, that's cool. You don't want to, if I had these like spidery cracks going all over the place, it might be overkill. The other thing is here, you can see when you pull back a bit, this is a nice big chunky thing, And so as you can see, some pieces are thinner, the highlights are thinner, and some are thicker. So you have to vary that kind of stuff. And there might be a piece missing. So, and there's Hulk's head. He's not too happy. I painted this a little fast. I wish I took more time on him. He's a little too cartoony. I wanted to make him look a lot more crazy, but it didn't. And I wanted to make smoke coming from the wall, like from the hole, like somebody just shot like an explosive charge into the wall. But it still looks okay. Anyway, that's that. And I'll see you guys on Friday. And good luck, okay? Just remember, you got to have this in there. Okay, not die. You could do any phrase you want. Could be longer, shorter. Well, not shorter. Well, yeah, you could have 2 letters. Anyway, it's up to you what you want to do. Okay, we'll see you Friday, and hope you enjoyed everything, and I'm going to bed. Good night.